Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So hopefully you're able to hear me on this video. I can't speak as loud as I would like to because I'm at the airport. But I want to talk about Donald Trump in this situation involving two of his associates recently being convicted of various crimes. I want to talk about the impact that will have on the presidency and on the midterms. So you have Donald Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort. He was convicted of 5 counts of tax fraud, 2 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of failure to disclose a foreign bank account. Now, none of these charges that he's been convicted of directly deal with the issue of Russian influence over the 2016 elections, but this is very important. Also, you have Donald Trump's own attorney who recently pleaded guilty to federal campaign finance law violations. He also pled guilty to tax evasion, and he pled guilty to a single count of bank fraud. And this man allegedly concealed $4 million from the IRS. He also made excessive contributions to the Trump administration. Now, this guy, Paul Manafort, concealed $60 million in 31 foreign bank accounts. So you have both of these guys trying to avoid paying taxes. These are the people that want to preach to you and me about patriotism, about being dedicated to this country, when these people aren't even willing to pay their fair share in taxes. So I want to talk about this for a second. First of all, I'll say this about this Cohen guy. Obviously he's not trustworthy. Nobody supports him. Democrats don't support him, even though he flipped on Donald Trump. And obviously the conservatives don't support him. This man is not trustworthy at all, so I understand why people are questioning his credibility. This is a man who actually expected the people to believe that he just voluntarily paid $130,000 to a porn star just for the sake of doing it without being instructed to do it by Donald Trump. And that brings me to, the key point about this Cohen situation. This man admitted that he gave money to 2 women, Stormy and this Playboy model, to silence them so that they would not talk about these affairs that they had with Donald Trump. After all this time of denying this stuff, after pretending like, he just happened to pay this money and no one instructed him to do so. And then after Donald Trump lying about this for a long time, it's out there for the public to see. So again, this man is not trustworthy. This guy represents everything that's wrong with the legal profession. The fact that you have these slimy lawyers that would do anything for $1, like this guy. But this whole thing just exposes, the hypocrisy of these so-called conservatives, these people that profess to be all about family values and all about conservatism, but yet they stand behind a man who paid out money to a porn star to keep her silent about her affair. They support a man that paid out money to a Playboy bunny to keep her silent about her affair with Donald Trump. How does this promote family values? How do these religious fanatics explain their support for Donald Trump at this point? This man has been not only exposed as a philanderer and a liar, a cheater, a womanizer. This man is in all actuality a co-conspirator in this illegal activity that took place. As Donald Trump's own, as Cohen's own attorney said, how can one of them be guilty without the other one being guilty? Why is it a crime? Why is it not a crime for Donald Trump to give the instructions? And yes, it's a crime for Cohen to follow the instructions. So that's one thing. And then, Donald Trump, throughout his campaign, he talked about how he was going to get the best and the brightest to participate in his administration, to work for his administration. It turns out that this man chose some criminals, like 4 people in this man's campaign and or administration have been convicted of crimes. And then you have others who have left their position in the administration under suspicious circumstances, under bad circumstances. So this man obviously is a poor judge of character. This man is a poor decision maker when it comes to appointing people. So this whole situation just reminds us of how unfit this man is to be president of the United States. And this man also talked about how if he was impeached, you know, that would make everybody, you know, a lot of people poor in America. It'll have a devastating impact on the economy. This man is so wrapped up in his narcissism, so wrapped up in you know, these delusions of grandeur that he has completely lost his mind. You know, his impeachment would not destroy the economy. The economy is not solely revolving around this single buffoonish president being in the White House. So, you know, again, you know, this is a prime example of narcissism. And that brings me to the point about like what this impact this whole thing will have. You know, a lot of Democrats are holding off on talk of impeachment because they want this whole investigation to be conducted before they proceed with impeachment. But, you know, and I understand why they want to do that. They want to get as much facts out there and, you know, as much evidence as they can before they bring a case of impeachment. But I think it's high time for this man, Donald Trump, excuse me, he ain't no brother, this man, Donald Trump, to be impeached. It's been time. And, you know, I got to commend Representative Al Green for stepping up front and calling for this impeachment months ago, doing what none of these Democrats had the balls or the courage to do. Because when you look at this administration, I've seen enough. You have Donald Trump's own son meeting with a Russian agent to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. I mean, you have Donald Trump making public statements encouraging people to get, you know, encouraging the Russians and WikiLeaks or whatever to get access to Hillary Clinton's emails and get their information so that he could use this information against her. I mean, all of that is enough to make it clear that this man is, you know, even though it's not directly proof of collusion, it provides enough for me to say that this man needs to be impeached. And I'm sure that once they conduct this thorough investigation, they're going to come up with more evidence. And it makes me wonder whether or not that guy, Cohen, will provide more information to the authorities. Will he tell them about things that he's observed? I mean, he was Donald Trump's right-hand man. He worked directly with Donald Trump. He was a part of the campaign. So he may have access or be privy to information about this whole issue of collusion. And who knows, he may expose this. And they say that he had tapes of Donald Trump. Who knows how many other tapes this man has of Donald Trump making conversations about Russia. I mean, and it's just crazy that this man, Donald Trump, you know, who's accused of colluding with the Russians, has the nerve to talk about patriotism, you know, has the nerve to pretend to be a patriot. How is it patriotic to collaborate with one of the United States' biggest enemies? How patriotic is it to work to undermine the American elections in collaboration with and collusion with an enemy power? There's nothing patriotic about that. That is the opposite of patriotism. And, you know, I just think that it's a matter of time before all this gets exposed. And, you know, hopefully, you know, Congress will proceed with impeachment against Donald Trump. And hopefully they would do everything that they can to hold up and prevent the appointment of Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. Because Kavanaugh, from what I understand, this is a man who's basically expressed a view that the president cannot be indicted. You know, this is one of these people that would give President Trump a pass to continue doing what he's doing. And we don't need somebody like that in the Supreme Court. We don't need somebody on the Supreme Court that opposes affirmative action. So I encourage like civil rights groups and activists to do everything in their power to prevent the appointment of Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. And this is a prime opportunity to prevent that from happening. Now, in terms of the midterms, I think that a lot of these Democrats are celebrating prematurely. They're overly excited about this whole situation, not realizing that these same people were excited about the election. They thought that there was no chance that Hillary Clinton would win. That Trump would win. Somebody's talking, so hopefully y'all can bear with me. Somebody's in the background, but the thing is, like, a lot of these people predicted that Donald Trump would lose the election because of the changing demographics in this country, where you have a lot of Hispanic voters, you have a lot of African American voters, you have women voters. So many people assumed that there was no way that Donald Trump would win the election, but he lost. He won. He ended up winning and Hillary lost, contrary to all these predictions. So I think it is possible that the same thing will happen with respect to these midterms. A lot of people will say, well, Donald Trump is, these people that follow Donald Trump are stupid and Donald Trump is stupid. And that's true. But there are a lot of stupid people in this country. And I don't have, much confidence in many of the people in this country. And I'm sure that many of these Donald Trump supporters, despite all this evidence that's presented, despite how many people are indicted in his administration, they will continue to stand with this man as long as the economy is doing okay. And I think that speaks to the level of ignorance in this country. It speaks to the level of intolerance in this country. And frankly, it speaks to the level of sexism and racism in this country, that this man will continue to, hold an office despite all of this controversy. And the fact that it's come out that this man had these affairs with these women and tried to give them hush money, that's not going to impact the election either, because, for a couple of reasons. First of all, these same people that heard that tape of Donald Trump talking about sexually assaulting women, they still went ahead and voted for him. So I don't hold out any hope in terms of these midterm elections, because a lot of these Donald Trump supporters are blind, deaf, and dumb, and they believe that rhetoric about fake news. Any kind of critical information about Donald Trump is quickly dismissed as fake news. So the bottom line is, I don't know what impact this will have on the midterms. I wouldn't be surprised if, these Republicans don't remain in power. If they remain in power, despite this effort, or despite all this stuff coming out, I wouldn't be surprised if they remain in office and in power. Just given the history of this country, given the level of ignorance among the electorate. So yeah, I just wanted to share those thoughts with you. Tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.